Now let's get into what you've created. As much as you'd like to share, before we then redirect people to your website to sign up.
Yes, yes.
Tell me about the process. What is this step-by-step what we're going to do to explore our own self-consciousness?
Right. So the RUMERTIME process is a 5-step social, emotional, problem-solving, culturally responsive process that helps individuals move from a position of inter and intrapersonal imbalance to inter and intrapersonal balance, and from unconscious living to conscious living.
Can you kind of break down real quick or define inter and intra for anyone that's watching doesn't understand what that means?
Okay. Intra is within one's self, within your mind, within your body, within your spirit, right? Because one of the features of the cultivating seed system framework is that it is triadic, right? It's a unity between the mind, body, and spirit, right? And so when you are out of balance, one of those or multiple of those are out of balance, whether it's the mind, the body, or the spirit. And so intra is within one's body, one's mind, or one's spirit. Inter is amongst us, right? You and Casey and Geneva and myself and Geneva, that's inter, where we're intermingling, interplay, interface, right? So it's amongst people, others. Correct. So that's what inter and intrapersonal means. Balance, as we know, is being able to balance the triadic way of being, right? We believe in that triadic wellness, the triadic health, those three being balanced. And we talked about unconscious living earlier. What that is, unconscious is living on autopilot, not knowing, not understanding that you have the power, right? Empowered means that you have the ability to be in charge of your interactions with others, your thoughts, your mindsets, and your emotions. And so those are the areas. Then we have the problem solving, being able to use your social, emotional skills to problem solve, as opposed to using medicine or something else to problem solve. We focus on those 5 core social emotional competencies to help individuals problem solve using this process, this step-by-step process. So individuals will then recognize. So the first R is to recognize, then there's understand, the U, manage, M, the E is express, the second R is reflect on your time, your thoughts, your interactions, your mindsets, and your emotions. So here's what an individual would do. You would recognize your time, right? So you would recognize your thoughts, your interactions, your mindsets, and emotions. Recognize is aligned with self-awareness skills, right? It's aligned with the self-awareness skills. Being able to identify or list or acknowledge or admit to your thoughts, your interactions, how you behave, what you're thinking, what you're believing, and what you're feeling. So that's what you're doing, right? So you are becoming aware, you are identifying. For example, let me do a scenario, because people prefer scenarios. So For example,
excuse me. I'm sorry. Hey, how you doing? I'm in a podcast, and oh my God, I'm not even muted. Excuse me.
Yeah. So individuals would recognize their thinking. So let's say, for example, let's talk about what happened this morning. It was hard to get on with your volume, right, Casey? All right. So let's rumorize that situation. So you recognized, you identified, you acknowledged that the mic you were not coming across on the mic. There was no volume, or we couldn't hear you. So that was an interacting with the mic, with the platform, right? So you're able to recognize what was happening. What are some of the things you did? This is now interaction. We're recognizing some of the things you did to problem solve. We had a problem and you're trying to solve it. What did you do? Right? Okay. So you were able to problem solve when you recognized that things we were not hearing you. So so you did some things. You troubleshooted, you used your phone, you tried to turn up the volume, down the volume, checked your computer. All of those are ways that you were behaving, you were acting, you were interacting, right? So that's what you do in the first step of the RUMERTIME process. You were behaving or acting once you recognize the issue. Well, then let's look at recognizing your thinking about the situation. What were you thinking about this situation? We're not hearing you. Geneva and I not hearing you. What are some of the thoughts that may have gone through your mind? Right? Oh my goodness. I can't believe this thing is not working. It worked for everybody else. And this is a new device, but I've used it in other podcasts and it worked. Right? So those are some of the thoughts. All right. So we talked about the behaviors. We're talking about the thoughts now, the thinking. So you're thinking that why is this shutting down? This is not normal. This is not normal. What are you believing? You're believing maybe something that you believed, which is mindset, is that, oh my goodness, and we're not going to be able to do this podcast today. So that is the first step of when you have a problem, getting to that place of problem solving. So we looked at the situation was there, the problem was there. How did you behave? You problem solve, you tried to problem solve, troubleshoot, blah, blah. Then we looked at your thinking. Well, what am I thinking about this? What am I believing about this? And then what am I feeling? And so we were able to solve the problem because you were able to manage, right? So now we go to manage. We jumped over understand. We understood. Let me go back to understand. You dug deep into what is happening. We may or may not have figured out why the computer wasn't working, but you went to the root, right? You went to the root of it. And then you found a way to manage. And that was use your phone or use another device to help you have this, make the podcast happen. You also were able to manage your thinking and your emotions. You didn't fall out and start crying and, acting like, oh my God, you didn't do that. You were managing your interactions. And how you manage that is by managing what you're thinking. Because in our framework, we say that feelings have no intellect. They are directly impacted and influenced by one's thoughts, and that those thoughts are influenced by things around on the outside, but also things on the inside, right? And we have over 6,000 thoughts a day, 80% of which are negative. So you were able to manage, you were able to manage your thinking, which then helped you manage your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So that your emotions did not hijack this situation that we have here today. Yeah.
The process.
And so that's what we teach. That's the first step. And we can't go into the whole thing. But that's just the first step to help the viewers understand, recognize and understand what the RUMERTIME process, just a tidbit of the RUMERTIME process and how it is applicable to everyday life. And you may say, well, this is just, who has time to do this? Guess what? You're doing it unconsciously and not doing it effectively. And so that's why you keep getting yourself in all kinds of problems. And so as you do this more often, it becomes second nature.
When it comes to service providers, no matter what their discipline or background or job is, I have so many questions. I'm trying to pick one out of the air. Why is this is important? This awareness of thought and how it has an implication on our actions. Why don't we talk about it more? Why isn't it in our textbooks? Why isn't it? I mean, it's not in our families, necessarily. It's not necessarily in our greater society, but it reflects the values of human services. So why isn't it taught this process of self-awareness?
Well, here's one of my theories on that. And I'm sure Dr. G has another one as well. But mine is, it's not taught because it's not sexy. It does not, it's about empowering people and allowing people to be the architects and drivers of their own lives and destinies. And it's not fashionable for people to be self-directors, right? Or their own life coaches for multiple reasons. Organizations, businesses will not make money if people know how to problem solve, right? Let's just keep it real. Keep it 100, as the young people say. Because if we equip, educate, and empower individuals to problem solve like this, then a lot of the medical, a lot of the pharmaceutical, the medicines may not be purchased.
It won't be needed. All that synthetic stuff. We go back to nature and start eating from the earth.
Right. So that's why I think that's one of the reasons.
Yeah. And to add to that, I totally agree with what Dr. Larrier just shared. And to add to that is I believe that people can't give what they are teach. They can't give what they don't have. So, there are lots of books about social emotional awareness. There's lessons on it, but it doesn't go to the depth, right? So from my view, it really is surface because it doesn't get to the root. So in the cultivating seed system with our agricultural foundation, we look at situations as roots and fruits. And so often the system, and when I say the system, I'm talking about the systems, whether it's school system, court systems, the system tend to look at the fruit, right? The behavior of the client, the criminal, the whomever. Look at the behavior without taking the time, because they don't want this. The system doesn't. The system is unconscious. The system exists unconsciously, and so there. That's why. So people want a quick fix, and they don't want to take time to get to the root. But if we stick with the agriculture metaphor, we will learn. We can use that, apply it to our own existence, and learn that in order for a plant to grow healthy, that plant needs to be cultivated. You plant a seed, the seed must be cultivated. It has to be given nourishment and essential growth elements in order to produce the type of fruit that we want to produce. So, simple analogy, right? But humans, we mess it up all the time. I mean, we don't do it right. So, we plant a seed today, we want the fruit tomorrow. And then if the fruit doesn't turn out right, then we want to bastardize it or label it and do all kinds of crazy with it. But it is so important. To get to the root of it all. And I am not aware of any framework that talks about social emotional awareness that gets to the level of which GCSCORED doesn't. And so that's why, I'll promote it until I no longer have a voice or I'm no longer alive, put it that way, because I do believe that is the thing that's going to make a difference in our world and bring us to that place of civility in our society and having safer communities. Because we see what we see because of the absence of the conscious living.
I don't want anyone to tell me that that's not sexy.
Good. I know, right?
It is.
Yeah.
But
it is sexy.
I've heard your answer before, and I can tell that many of us as service providers are on the same page. We are in a very embedded system, something that started way before any of us were here, that is unconscious. And it wasn't an approach to addressing a problem with one solution that did not include anything conscientious, thought-wise.
That's right.
Which is ironic because we are we're creatures based on lore and spirituality and religious, all this stuff that has delivered these value systems, except we drew a line, decided there was one solution to everything. And that became this intricate system, especially in Western society. We just run with it. Like it's not working.
It's not. I think we need
why a nonprofit and not a book? Or like you're delivering it in a medium that is very unconventional, which is awesome in itself. But with this self-help movement in mind, what makes a difference in serving it through a nonprofit lens and provision than on a book or a class?
Yeah, well, I think all of those things are in the works. I teach it in my classes. Dr. G taught it in her classes at the university that she taught at. We have books, we have materials, we have trainings, we have workshops, we have immersion experiences. So it's available. One of the things that we're very intentional about, almost protective, but not to the point of creating inaccessibility, is making sure that when we teach it and we let people go out to spread the seeds, spread the word about it, and to to also, like, if we do a train the trainer, we are very particular about it being done so with fidelity. Because what we do not want to have happen is someone come to our training, complete the training successfully, and then go out and twist some of the fundamental principles of the RUMERTIME process, the cultivating seed system. Then what happens, it loses its efficacy, right? And then it reflects on us because they're marketing it as the cultivating seed system, the RUMERTIME process, but in essence, they were not. So one of the things we put in place is coaching sessions. So if we train UKC to be a wellness champion or a RUMERTIME prevention intervention coach or specialist, you are to continue receiving supervision for us for the period of time that you are implementing or you're providing training, so that we know what you are putting out there and we still have some control over our product.
And another piece to add to that is the research component, right? So the R, GCSCORED, each of those letters stand for something. So the R is the research component. And so everybody that's engaged with that process or utilizing our material are required to do a pre and post survey on the utilization of it. So how is it working? Because we want to know about effectiveness. We want to know how is it working? How are you using it accurately, and how effective it is in your particular setting. So we're still connected. You're not just getting it and running off and doing your own thing with it. Dr. Larry talked about how we share in our class. We develop a course, a personal and professional development course, utilizing the RUMERTIME process. And these are students in human services. And I'm reminded when Dr. Larry mentioned that those individuals, the charter group, I would say, of those individuals became our first wellness champions in one of the programs that we offer. So I mentioned what our mission is, and that we have several ways in which we are accomplishing that mission. And one of them is a service that we started at the onset of the pandemic back in 2020, and it's called the Listening Oasis Wellness Space. And it's a telehealth service that we offer globally to anybody. There's a telehealth line that folk can call in and speak with a trained individual, a person that's trained and utilizes the RUMERTIME process to for them to provide the support that the callers need. And that spun out of a desire to keep people connected. If you recall, at the beginning of the pandemic, everything is shutting down. Everybody is cut off, distancing, and even individuals, in nursing homes. So the initial thought was really to reach out to those individuals who were in institutions like nursing homes, who, family members, friends could not connect with or visit with. But then it rapidly expanded to others, not just to nursing homes, but parents with children, struggling with children, in school and trying to manage them at home. And it was just a plethora of issues that people simply needed support and to talk through. And those individuals who are responding to those calls, we refer to them as wellness champions. And that charter group of wellness champions really were our students. And there were some other individuals that had been working with the organizations from other communities, other states, but they were the wellness champions that provided that support. And so that's just in one of the services that we offer. And anybody can become a wellness champion. We have ongoing training. We have an online program that's been developed. It's called the Institute for Social Emotional Education. And individuals can access that online. They don't necessarily have to go through a class or their organization, but they can access it individually as well. And man, the IC, the Institute for Social Emotional Education, is the breadth, the height, the depth of our social emotional first aid program. It's the full expansion of the snippet that we discussed today during this podcast. So, I certainly want to encourage people, to go to the website and visit and to investigate all the different programs and services that we offer. I mentioned LOWS, which is the Listening Oasis Wellness Space, and IC, the Institute for Social Emotional Education. And we also do a summer camp as well, a RUMERTIME Family Summer Camp. We just got through wrapping one up the end of July this particular summer. So, which is a service. It's a virtual summer camp. And it's not just camp as usual. We're teaching the RUMERTIME process. And so caretakers, parents and guardians must be involved. So we are engaging the children as well as the adults. And I believe the age we started, sometimes we make exceptions because parents are pushing for more, but 8 to 18, there have been some instances where we've taken some a little bit younger, some a bit older. But it's a camp where we are teaching and people are learning about the RUMERTIME process and how to apply the RUMERTIME process to their lives. And families are finding how helpful it is to have the tools of the RUMERTIME process for them to apply when they're dealing with issues in the home, anger, issues dealing, anger or poor communication between the teens and their parents, just anything. Like Dr. Larrier said earlier, RUMERTIME can be applied in any and every situation. I think she did a good job using it with this morning, right? So, yeah, because we were feeling it. I was observing and we're feeling it. And so I'm like, it's going to be all right. No worries. It's going to be all right. Let's breathe through it. But it essentially is that process. And so often humans don't take the time to pause so that they could recognize what's going on. They could identify, acknowledge what's going on with them at the, in that very moment, whether they're in a classroom or whether they are providing a service to a client or even in the grocery store. Anytime, everywhere, anytime is RUMERTIME. That's how we describe it. Yes. Everywhere, anytime is RUMERTIME.
So everything you just ran through brings me to one final question I would love both of you to answer. I am a huge advocate of interdisciplinary steps when it comes to crossing lines as far as our disciplines and the way we serve. Do y'all think GCSCORED has created something that could be the first stepping stone into inviting people to put their walls down personally and professionally and work together into honing in on a skill that is essential from my perspective before everything else, before we put fires out, before we make policies? Y'all have something here.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. That's that culturally responsive piece, the relatable piece. The walls have got to come down. And one of the beauties of the work that we do, it's not limited to people with degrees, right? So anybody can learn the RUMERTIME process. Dr. Larry talked about access. Well, we go into some areas where there may not be anybody with higher education degrees. There may not be any masters and PhDs, or even bachelors. But guess what? There's an advocate in that community who dares to make a difference, who want to share. They want, they recognize the benefit of having the RUMERTIME process in that community, in that setting. They are welcome at the table. So we take time with those individuals and they get the information. We educate, equip, and empower them. They can become the leader in their community to further share the information about the cultivating seed system. So absolutely. And our team, we have people from a wide array of disciplines on our team right now. So,
and we're always creating access and making opportunities to become a wellness champion accessible, right? So we have a program going on right now where we are training wellness champions for free, but they in return have to give back a minimum of 1 year service to our organization. Okay. And again, like Dr. G said, we work with people, we train individuals, as long as you can read, write, you have a computer, and you have access to internet, we will train you. You do not have to be a degreed person. You can be coming out of high school and you see a need in your community, and that community could be your home, your friend group. The goal is to educate, equip, and empower individuals to problem solve, to be conscious problem solvers and empowered life coaches. We want at least one person in every space. So Geneva is that one person in her house. I am the one, well, my husband also knows how to do this. So there are two of us in this house. Casey, wherever you live, you need to be that person. Every home, every school, every place of worship, every club, every office, organization, everywhere needs to have at least one person. You know how we have like fire extinguishers in every building? We need to have wellness champions or RUMERTIME prevention intervention coaches in every space.
Y'all got me crying over here.
That is our mission. Amazing. Is to and our goals, increasing access, because people do not have access to culturally responsive, accessible, destigmatized, demystified problem-solving strategies. They don't. I mean, and I'm not just saying it because we developed it. This is research, okay? World Health Organization, CDC, American Association of Pediatrics, all of these agencies are saying the same thing. We recognize this before all of this. We understand. And our way of managing is to increase our visibility, increase access, increase the effective utilization of the RUMERTIME process. And that's why we are so grateful to NOHS, the National Organization for Human Services, for giving us this opportunity to get the word out about GCSCORED and our solution to the crisis that we're in, and we're going to get deeper in it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So our website, if we can call attention to it, is www.everypeacematters.com. Real simple. Everypeacematters.com. Because it does. Yeah. Every piece does matter.
Short of sounding cliche, y'all are doing something that is almost impossible. And I'm not saying it is impossible, but there's just a lot of people who will attempt this and who have to connect to people on a deeper level that goes beyond what the book talks to, you know, and they back out, you know. COVID was a huge, like, check-in for me. It's like, do I really want to attempt helping this world that doesn't seem to want to help itself? And I stuck to it. But y'all are going beyond just what is deemed successful in a process of providing a service or being a consumer. You're getting to the human level, which for me, and I think for y'all as well, is obvious. But it takes stepping over what we think is, you know, obvious. And I wouldn't say convincing others of what's important or what they should prioritize, but what they already know is important, and just bringing them to this conscious level of awareness where they see, oh, okay, through this process and, you know, from the message that y'all are providing, this is why it's important. And if we focus on what's important, then holy crap, all these problems just like
they get managed, right? There's a statement that another quote that I've coined: you take care of the roots and the fruits will take care of themselves. You don't fix the fruit and think the tree is going to stop producing the fruit. The tree produces the fruit that it was the seed that was planted, right? So the tree produces the fruit that it was meant to produce.
Yeah, that is bound to come out based on what's in the root, right? So healthy roots produce healthy fruit, good fruit. Yeah, the root's not healthy. We might need to estimate the roots, you know.
Exactly. And I see the entire human, you know, population all over the world. We're getting to the point we can't ignore that anymore. And even though it might come to a head and things might get worse before they get better, I have 100% faith that we're going to get to the point where, like, we shift seasons in our global consciousness and
do better. It's not
going to be easy. It might not happen in our lifetime, but I believe it. Y'all are true channelers of the Christ energy. I swear, it's amazing the work you're doing. So thank y'all so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, we will.
Come back, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. I don't know. Do we have space to share? We'll be doing a talk, a workshop, a presentation with the NOS constituents.
So we would love to see. We would love to see people.
So that's coming up on the 23rd of September.
We would love to see people there, and coming to get some more knowledge about who we are, what we do, and how we do it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us, Casey.
Check out everything GC scored on their website, everypeacematters.com, and be sure to hit that subscribe button for more from the Roundtable. Or find us at nationalhumanservices.org.